Welcome to the episode of Jay Leno's Garage. Today we're going to talk about a car and meet the man who designed it. This is a car, this is the first one I've seen in person. It's a car everybody has an opinion on, whether they've seen it or not. You know, everybody's got something to say about this car. And I love people that have one person's vision of what a car should be, and they put their name on the car. This is called the Fisker, and Henrik Fisker, come on in. I've known you for a long time.
Hey, Jay.
You were the designer of Aston Martin. He designed all those beautiful Aston Martins that you see, and my favorite BMW, the Z8. That's yours.
Right.
That's yours as well. And this is your latest creation here. Beautiful, beautiful car, four-door, and it's a hybrid. Tell us about it.
Well, it's kind of a different type of hybrid because this is the first car in the world where you can switch between pure electric and gas. Mm-hmm. So you can actually decide to go about 50 miles on pure electric. But let's say after 20 miles, or after 1 mile, whatever you want, you can actually switch on the shifter pedal into gasoline mode, which basically means there's an engine turning a generator, creating electricity while you drive. So the gasoline is not connected to the wheels.
Right.
It only turns a generator to create electricity and either put back into the battery or back to the two electric motors at the rear.
Is it very similar to the Chevy Volt type of system?
It's different because the Volt actually has a connection to the wheels, the gasoline engine, also has a gearbox. Ours only have a one-speed gearbox and has two electric motors at the rear. It has the same torque as a Bugatti Veyron.
Wow. What is the torque?
1,100 pound-foot of torque.
1,100, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's only one speed, so you have to divide all that over one speed. So obviously you don't have the speed of a Bugatti, but you have a speed of, I think, a V8, and you have instant power, so it's almost like you're always on the right gear.
Right, right.
It's like an electric car, right?
Right, right. So basically, is it correct to call it a hybrid?
We call it an electric vehicle with extended range.
Okay.
And the reason is that it always is electric driven. A hybrid, you know, you have the possibility like a Prius where it drives on gasoline.
But unlike a pure electric, you can't get stuck in this car because you can just revert to gasoline.
That's it. I drove it up to Pebble Beach, and after 50 miles, I just drove it pure gasoline. I filled up at gas station because there's a 250-mile range on pure gasoline.
Now, here's something I've always wondered why more electric car manufacturers don't do this. You've integrated an electric panel into the roof here, and it actually looks kind of cool. It actually looks like a design element as well as being something functional. Are these photoelectric cells?
Yeah.
Here? Okay.
Yeah. And you know, that was the whole point. I didn't want to make it look dorky. It was all about making an electric or environmental friendly car look cool. It's a little bit about, yes, there's a future for cool environmental friendly cars. So we made a special design. One of the cool things about this is the first solar panel in the world that actually is curved in two directions.
Okay.
So we had to develop a new way because you cannot bend these solar panels.
I see.
So it's two glass panels with a gel between them.
Yeah.
So it actually looks like that they're round, but they're actually lying flat, but we get that cool curvature.
And it's not translucent, you don't
No,
see
it's not. It's not translucent. That's the next generation we're working on.
So this is always, obviously when it's sunny and you park the car, is it putting energy back into the battery?
Actually, what it really is helping out the auxiliaries, like for instance the radio, air conditioner, and you can also program the vents. So basically they run when you're gone from the car just via the solar roofs.
If you leave this car on a 100-degree day in a parking lot, it'll keep the fans going, keep it circulating.
That's
not
right.
air conditioning, just fans.
That's right. Yeah.
Keep the fans going.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So if you have a pet or something in the car,
Right.
you crack the window and it'll keep
Right.
it. Well, that's interesting.
That's
That's interesting. This reminds me of the Mercedes SLR.
Yeah.
The exhaust is right here.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and why there?
The reason is we didn't want to run it under the battery, you know, where you don't want the heat and all that stuff, so we wanted it under there, but it was very complicated. We have to make a whole new resonator that actually we ended up internally calling the pizza box because it looked like a pizza box.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's really like running like a snake on need to get the length of it.
I see, yeah.
But it actually works really well.
And what does this say here?
EVER, which is ever, which means electric vehicle extended range.
I see. Very good, very good. Well, boy, it's a great looking car. And you can see your influence. I've seen enough of your designs to know your style. And it's a great looking car. You don't see many good looking four-door cars, you know, and it really does look great. Would you ever make a two-door?
I think we're working on a two-door.
Yeah,
so we'll think about doing a two-door.
Yeah, but the four-door makes it fun because it's not a sports car.
Right.
It is a grand touring car.
That's right.
And top speed is what, 125?
125, yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
And how often do you really go 125? Unless you're me. But you know. but for the most part. And a lot of this car is recycled, isn't it? The wood and the dashboard you told me is from the California fires?
That's right. And I have nothing to do with those, by the way.
So you're not setting fires?
No, but we know they happen every year, by themselves. So we have enough wood.
Okay, all right. Why 22-inch wheels? Because I've always told, and this is primarily a luxury touring car.
Right, it is, yeah.
And with 22-inch wheels, it gives you a little harder ride. Why not go with a 19 so you get a softer, more compliant?
So, but that, see, if you think about some of the cars you have here, they had huge wheels. What they also did was they had huge tires. So what we did was, these 22-inch wheels have very big tires. We got Goodyear here in the U.S. To make special high-profile tires, kind of like on the Rolls-Royce or the Bentleys.
Right.
So these tires, if you look at them, they're actually very high profile. So the ride on this, as you will see when you drive it, is actually as comfortable as, I would say, a BMW or a Mercedes.
Yeah. And obviously, automotive design is what you do first.
Right.
And of course, designed the Aston Martin, the Z8. What other cars that we know about?
Well, I designed a small German car that nobody knows about called the Arteega GT.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, I designed that one. And then some show cars for Ford as well. The Ford, you probably remember the GR1.
Right. Yeah. So then you left designing cars, which is a pretty cushy job and a fun job, to start your own business and build your own cars. And it's hard.
That's been a crazy ride.
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride. And, to actually get it done, every day I hear from, not every day, but often I hear from people, they're going to build this car, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Well, he came to my garage about 16 years ago, drove my Bentley, broke it, broke the shifter off. I didn't see him again. He was so embarrassed. And then he said, I'm going to build a car. And he actually built it. This is a production vehicle. That's done. You can buy. You're not waiting for certification, right?
That's right. It's done.
You can, it's over. So many people say, we're going to do this. We're just waiting for the government. And of course, it doesn't pass the crash test or it doesn't pass emissions. This car, obviously, is ready to go. What is the power plant? Who makes it?
Well, we have a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that we buy from General Motors. They make it especially for us now.
Right.
It used to be in a Pontiac.
Right.
And then we have our own electric motors that we have designed and developed. There's 2, and they have together 400 horsepower. And then we have, of course, a lithium-ion battery from that's made here in the U.S. by A123 Systems.
Okay.
And then we have, of course, a whole bunch of other things, inverters that's made by Magna here in the U.S.
And what is the body made of?
It's all aluminum body.
Aluminum body?
Aluminum body, and it's an aluminum space frame.
Okay.
So most of it's aluminum, of course, like, the rocker panels and the bumpers and all that is standard.
And carbon fiber is just too expensive?
Yeah, it's too expensive at this point, at least for us. We felt aluminum was better also because of, for surface quality and everything else, repair and so on. We felt that aluminum was best. When you think about this car, it's kind of built like an Aston Martin, Rapide.
Right.
But this car is only $100,000. And I'm saying only because you actually get quite a lot for your money.
Right.
We wanted to create a car that wasn't priced above what you would expect this car to be.
For example, the Tesla Roadster, I think the last generation of the Tesla Roadster with, the full package is $180,000.
Yeah.
And this is $100,000. Now, $100,000 is not cheap by any extent, but in that Mercedes-Benz class, in this class of car, I think your
Porsche
price.
Panamera, those type of cars, they're all about $100,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now the interior also, no animal skins of any kind in this
Well,
one, right?
you can order it with leather.
Yeah.
And you have some cows from Scotland that's around to roam free, and they call them happy cows until they eventually get killed, obviously.
Until you eat them, yes. They're thrilled until you eat them, yeah.
But you can order this car without any leather in it, and that's exactly this car. It has suede and other type of materials inside the car. It's
now,
very
are they all custom built, or are you just?
No, for $100,000, it is built kind of like a Porsche if you want, but what we do versus a lot of the German manufacturer, we actually put all the options in right away. Yeah. So it has all the options in it, and there's kind of like two trim levels really, and then there's really only a couple of things, like you can order special paint, you can order a tritone leather interior, but that's about it. It's pretty much full with everything you need.
Traction control, ABS?
Traction control, ABS, all that stuff's in there. Yeah.
Is there a plug-in feature as well, or no?
Yeah, actually what you do is, on one side of the car, you actually plug it in, and then there's the same opening on the other side, but that's where you fill up with gas. So you either plug it in or fill it up. You're free to do what you want.
Okay, and how long is your charge time? Well, depending.
Well, 110 volt, it takes you about 12 to 14 hours.
Yeah.
So overnight, if you install a 220 charge, it's about 5 hours, 5.5 hours.
That's what we have here with our Chevy Volt. We have 220. And it's nothing complicated. It's the same fitting that you'd have for a refrigerator or a washer dryer. Any electrician can install it in about 45 minutes, and you have a plug, and then it becomes practical. Let's see what the trunk looks like. Open it.
Yeah, just open the trunk. Yeah.
Here we go.
There we go. Now you see in here behind there's 2 inverters. That's the type of stuff that we need to work on next generation to get those down. So in our next generation powertrain, we're trying to make everything smaller.
And you get your obligatory golf bag goes here.
Yeah, you get a golf bag.
You get a golf bag. Oh, you can play miniature golf. It's not a huge truck. You can play miniature golf. I see. But like you say, there's certainly as much legroom as there is in the Aston Martin Rapide, and I think that goes for what,
250? Yeah.
250, something like that. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Can we open the hood and see? Is
Yeah,
there anything
definitely.
under the hood?
There is something on the interesting part of this car is actually underneath the rear, because the 2 electric motors lying over the rear axle to get the weight. We actually have a really good weight distribution in this car. It's 53 on the rear, 47 in front, which is very unusual. So, but we'll open the hood. Let's see here. So under the hood.
Okay, there you go. I see it. I don't know why I thought it would be transverse, but it's interesting.
No, the reason it's like this is because when you look here behind, it's very hard to see because obviously there's a lot of stuff in here, but actually the generator is hooked directly on, bolted onto the engine. So when the engine turns, that's why there's no transmission. It basically just turns the generator, creates electricity, and everything else, of course, is just, you know, everything else you have in a car today with electronic boxes.
Right.
We have 31 ECUs, which is these electronic boxes in here. And if you think about just 20 years ago, there was only about 5 ECUs in the car. So everything is turned almost into a computer.
Yeah.
We even have a computerized sound on this car. Sounds a bit like from the Batman movies.
Right.
We actually hired the guy that worked on that. And the reason is for pedestrian safety, so you can actually hear when it comes.
Right, okay.
And
Because normally you just hear the pedestrian screaming after you hit him. Now this will warn the pedestrian. I'm amazed at how light this hood is. Extremely lightweight.
Yeah, it's all
What does the
aluminum.
car weigh?
It is a very heavy car. It weighs. You just have to push on each side.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it.
There we go.
Yeah. So it weighs about 5,000 pounds.
Oh,
So
it does, because of the batteries?
It's the battery. It's a very. I mean, if you look inside, you can actually see the battery running through the.
Yeah, I see down the center. Yeah,
all and it's a 20 kilowatt hour battery.
Wow.
And then we of course have 2 electric motors, and we have the generator in front. So you really have 3 electric motors in the car.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, let's take it for a ride and see how it goes.